Welcome back to Excel 10-Minute Leaders Live. 10 minutes with leaders from all different walks of life, business, technology, society. We know that one of the most important facets of leadership is storytelling. So, really pleased today that we're going to talk about storytelling with a business storyteller all the way from Nevada. We are joined by Ira Gostin. Ira, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks, Graham. I'm really excited to be here. Love the
All
show.
right. We're going to tell some stories today.
A little bit, yeah.
Excellent. Good. Looking forward to that. My favorite subject of all. So we've got 10 minutes together. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Let's do this. I'll ask you an easy question to get going. All right. So with Ira, 10 minutes starts now. Ira, what's on your business card?
Well, my business card says investor relations, communications, and marketing. But what I like to say in person is that communications is the story of business success.
Hmm.
And I love to tell stories, and I've been a storyteller my whole life. I've just moved in a different direction.
Hmm. When people hear storytelling, they think once upon a time. Where does that fit into business?
Yeah, I mean, that's more of a fairy tale, and there's probably some fairy tales in business, but it's the brain processes information so much better if there's a story. If someone tells you about a company or their business and they give you a bunch of numbers and facts and KPIs, it doesn't sink in as well as if they tell you a story.
Hmm.
So that's what it's really about.
Hmm. Okay, so I guess your superpower in answer to the next question is you're a storyteller. Can you tell us that in the form of a story? That's the
I
real challenge.
can. I grew up wanting to be a photojournalist, and I grew up in the 70s and into the 80s. And in fact, my first job that I ever had, I was a photographer for a weekly newspaper, and I used to ride my bicycle with my camera bag over my shoulder and take pictures for them. And it developed, no pun intended, into a great career with the Associated Press. And I loved every minute of it. And things changed, and journalism changed, and I went into marketing and public relations. And I've stayed with that storytelling part of my career. And now I help businesses tell their stories.
Hmm. Okay, who in your world do you feel is a great storyteller in business, alive or dead?
Um, I think you look at, the big names, um, Richard Branson, he's a great storyteller. Uh, Jeff Bezos, these guys, they've gotten to where they're at by helping you understand a vision that they had. Think back before Amazon.com. If someone told you that that's how you're going to shop now, or that you have the chance of going to the moon, that you would have thought they were nuts. But they've brought you into their story through their vision and their ability to tell the story. So, I mean, Warren Buffett is a great storyteller. He writes this amazing story every year in the form of his shareholder letter. So there's amazing people out there.
Hmm. And not the people you'd normally expect. So my follow-up question is going to be this, is that what do people normally get wrong about your craft? And your craft is storytelling. What are some of the common misconceptions?
They think I'm a schmoozer, a spin doctor, PR. And really what I do in my area is investor relations. I mean, that's really what I do is stakeholder engagement through communications. And, my wife, she's a nurse. And so when she explains to people, I told her one time that, if they're not really paying attention, just tell them I'm in financial PR. If they want a little bit more, tell them I work with big companies to tell their story. If they're snooty, tell them I'm an anthropologist, that I affect behavior. So, I think people don't really understand that. spin is a 1950s version of PR, and it's not really what we do anymore.
Even those words that you chose, whether it was financial PR or anthropologies, these are all stories in their own right about being a storyteller, aren't they? These are all
absolutely
interpretations. And I find it fascinating as well. A story could be a single word or a short sentence rather than a 5,000 word, narrative that people are more used to, isn't it? So I think that sort of storytelling can be very subtle as well. If you say, I'm an anthropologist, that's a story, isn't it? Because already, like your story about being a newspaper, or, being a photojournalist, that's a story. We've all got images in our head about what that is and who you are and what you believe maybe and how you think and so on. So we're not often aware stories that are being told around us, right? That's the power of them sometimes, that they're so subtle.
I agree with you 100%. That power is, one of the things that we do, and we're working with a new client, we do a project called Vision Quest, and we basically tear everything apart and rebuild it. And we'll put single words on a sticky note as we describe what the company does. And we'll try and do it, pull a word out. Is this word important? Is this word important? What if we move this word over here? And, we play with building blocks of the story. And it's so important because it is so powerful when a CEO gets up in front of a group of investors or customers and can tell their story and have everyone paying attention. That's an effective tool for that company. If I'm with a CEO and we're at a financial conference, let's say, I'm watching to see how many people are on their phone texting. Is this a place for me to take a break or should I pay attention? And then we evaluate what was the engagement like and what could we have done better, what went great. So.
Love it. So, Ira, we've got about 3 minutes together. Let's apply some of your craft and your skill, your superpower. Let's say we are going through a similar process to Vision Quest, and we're going to apply it to Excel, the show, 10-Minute Leaders Live. Let's tell the story of that. How would you do that? Where would you start? And what kind of nuggets could you impart in this short time together?
So the first thing that I'm going to do is just do a little bit of research and see what you're about and what you like to talk about. And, it makes it a little more complicated because you like to talk about a lot of subjects and you talk to a variety of different people, which is part of the value proposition of the show. And we use that term value proposition a lot. And we really look at what does the customer, your audience, what do they get out of it? And we get the whiteboard out with a complete blank slate, and we start putting sticky notes up, and we brainstorm and then try to look at it. How would a 50-year-old male look at your show? How would a 32-year-old female look at your show? How would a 24-year-old male that's not been to college look at you? We try to look at it from these frames, these filters of different audience members. And then we build everything back together to craft this story and hopefully come up with a description and a story of who you are and what you're about.
All right, that sounds great. All right, so the last challenge I'm going to give you today, Ira, is I want you to think about your life in the terms of being a storyteller in the context, sorry, I'm not going to do that one, I'm going to do a different one, of a movie director. Now, you're going to direct the first scene in your movie, your autobiographical movie. And obviously, let's not start with chronologically the first scene, which is I was born. We're going to tell it as a movie director. And this is, I think, give people an insight into storytelling. It's not chronological. It starts with the most important information. What would be scene one? Describe it to us.
Okay, scene one is I am a catcher for the New York Yankees in spring training, and the coach walks up to me and puts his arm on my shoulder and says, "Kid, you suck at baseball. You need to find something else to do." And that's scene one.
Did you prove him wrong?
Oh, my greatest accomplishment as a high school baseball catcher was getting on base more by getting hit. So I was a good placeholder. That was about it. So
that's a good opening to a movie. I love it. I want to find out what happens next. Hey, everybody, that was Ira Gostin. A real pleasure having you in the show today. Ira, can you share with us, please, a link where we can go and find out more about you and your craft?
Yes, www.g8strategies.com. It's the letter G, the number 8, the word strategies.com, and you'll find all about us.
Ira Gostin, everybody, the business storyteller, joining us on Excel 10-Minute Leaders Live. Ira, thank you very much for joining us.
Graham, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.